Welcome to the Money Pig Podcast, presented by Goodwin Investment Advisory, where our mission is to lead you to financial pig, peace, independence, and generosity. I'm your host, Tim Goodwin. Hey, welcome back to the Money Pig Podcast. Today I have special guest Steve Hyland. Steve, we're excited to have you here today.
It's great to be here, Tim.
So Steve has become a friend of mine over time. He is the director of FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes for Cherokee County in Georgia. Steve, I actually have a little bio here for you that we put together. So I want to read this. Since 2020, Steve has been leading coaches and athletes in Woodstock and beyond. And I'm remembering in 2020, which day in 2020 you started was
yes. That would be April 1st. So April Fool's Day in the first month of the pandemic. Yeah, that was it was a memorable start date.
I think FCA. God has a sense of humor.
He does.
Yeah. And he was like, why don't you just come out of retirement, go back and lead this ministry? And he did it on April Fool's Day.
Yes.
So, oh my goodness. So, but FCA helps students, mostly athletes, in their relationship with God through encouragement, character development, and living out FCA's core values of integrity, service, teamwork, and excellence. And at Goodwin Investment Advisory, we are proud to support the work of FCA and to partner with leaders like Steve who are making a lasting impact on our community. So, Steve, you're a client. You've probably heard us say this before. Our mission is to lead people to financial peace, independence, and generosity. So that sells pig. That's why we call it the Money Pig Podcast. That's why we have the notorious PIG.
With some bling.
Yeah. With some bling right here. And so really we wanted to bring you in more like on the generosity side of our mission, and talk about you and talk about what FCA is doing and how this is how you are really giving back because you weren't always in ministry, were you, Steve? Give us a little bit of your background, because I know it wasn't running a nonprofit.
Yes. Well, now I actually would consider I was in ministry before, but I worked for this company called Coca-Cola North America.
Oh, I heard about that.
And I worked for 28 years in marketing. But again, I try to minister to the people I manage and the employees there too, and kind of saw it as a ministry, but it definitely was a Fortune 500 company or 100 companies.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you had a long career at Coca-Cola.
Yes.
Right?
Yep. And what I did, I worked 28 years with Coca-Cola. Then I worked on a Christian movie called Champion for 5 years.
I watched that movie.
As a producer.
It's a good one. Yeah.
And then I prayed for about a year. I just said, God, you got to show me what to do. And a board of directors that included Tim Goodwin came and said, hey, would you consider this opportunity to lead in Cherokee County for FCA?
Yeah.
And as only God could see it, I was on boards, several boards. I led boards. And I would say, hey, I'll write you a check, but don't put me on for fundraising no matter what. And as God can only do it, everything I do starts with fundraising and donors. And in my weakness, God could show himself strong, and he has.
So that's good. That's good. I feel like you may have succinctly said those exact words before. You've got that down. So, but I remember that, I don't even know which one to start with, but we'll start with this one that you referenced, how much you love to fundraise, sarcastically, so you accept the job, but you're retired, and we're like, all right, you got to go raise your own money for the job you just accepted. And you're like, how about I don't? I'm retired. I don't need to go raise. Yep. And we were like, no, you got to lead by example. And so you ended up kind of having to eat those words, I guess, at one point, which is like, I'll write you a check, but don't make me ask for money.
Oh, yeah. And then what I did is I actually wrote out, what my job was and the vision. And literally the first 20 people, in my mind, nobody would want to support me. I'm a businessman from Coca-Cola.
Right. Yeah.
But the first 20 people I asked to join our giving team said yes. So I'm like, okay,
all
God,
20?
All 20. So 20 for 20.
Oh my gosh.
And so
need to call the Guinness Book of World Records. Y'all, the ministry section, the first 20 people I asked for money said yes. Well, that's a testament to your character and your reputation, Steve.
Yeah. Well, it's just God working and showing me he's got it under control.
That's crazy. That's so cool. So you made that work. You come in, you fundraise your own salary. It's always just hysterical when you think about how that works in a lot of ministry environments. And we had how big was your team at that point? Employed versus just employed?
It was 5. Yeah.
Oh, 5?
Myself. Okay. And then it went to 12. So.
Right.
Yes.
But even 5, was that 5 full-time? What was your full-time equivalent?
No, it was just 2.
Two
full-time.
FTEs.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now you're to how many FTEs?
We're 12. So we have 5 full-time and 7 part-time.
Okay.
Equally split, men and women too. So.
Man, that's awesome. So talk a little bit about the coverage. So let's maybe address the listener who's not, okay, you said FCA stands for Fellowship of Christian Athletes. You guys are talking about God. Okay, this has got a Christian side of it. Maybe explain to somebody who's not super familiar with FCA what FCA does and is.
Yes. So probably the best way to describe it is we do character coaching, and we want people to grow in their relationship with Jesus Christ. Not only the students, but also coaches are a big impact. Because if you can get a coach really understanding what their real role is and use their faith in where they're at, it's amazing the impact it could have on hundreds and thousands of kids. So we do character coaching. It is a ministry of presence. So that's a big part of it, just being present. And I can talk through some examples, but it's amazing how kids need encouragement these days, and just using Christian character, encouragement, and really finding out just like business, find out what do the people need? How can you add value to the coaches and the players? It's amazing the positive reaction to the message. And you had, say, Kevin Williams, a good example, Chick-fil-A. We purchased so many Chick-fil-A biscuits, open up the hearts of people. Even
That's
this
how
morning,
you get these students to come
listen
in
to the message. They come in and they hear our message. So.
That's awesome. So that really is the crux of the ministry, is you get access to athletes because the coaches kind of reach out and say, hey, will you come? Will FCA send a character coach? We used to be able to call them chaplains. Can't call them chaplains anymore. But can you bring in a character coach to my team, to my students, right?
Yeah, and one of the ways we've really expanded beyond schools is all the community sports teams. There's so many people, there's 4,000 soccer players that are playing soccer in Cherokee County. We have a person directed at that. We have baseball. We have all the sports and golf. So we've opened up venues to have character coaching in all those kind of areas too. Obviously, we need it to grow over time by getting more volunteers or people with passion. But that's a big area, because most people think about FCA just in schools, in the public schools or private schools. But we want it to be everywhere, not only anywhere from 8 years old to 80s. So if they're playing golf in a league, and we want them to go hear a devotional about their relationship with Jesus and grow just like we would an 8-year-old who might be hearing something for the first time.
So you're able to say that very quickly, but I've got to just unpack this a little bit for the listeners to fully understand the scope of what you just laid out there, right? So we're going to take a step back and remind everybody that FCA is not just Cherokee County. FCA is a global nonprofit that started, 1950s?
70 years ago.
Yeah. And so it's over the entire globe. Steve's in charge of the efforts of FCA in our county. Our county has 6 high schools.
Yes.
Right? And
actually 8, counting the 2 major Christian schools too.
Right.
So 8.
I'm glad I was. Yeah, you're right. 6 public, and then you guys private, and then you guys do a little bit more with middle school. But there's more breadth to what a high school offers in terms of athletic opportunities. Anyway, sports opportunities. Exactly. So what's so incredible is that Steve gets here. He doesn't even have enough full-time equivalents to cover the 6 public schools. He gets that team, grows that team, and then says, well, let's go ahead and, impact some of these private schools as well. Let's do some things for middle schools. And, most directors would be done at that point, Steve, especially if they were pulled out of retirement to kind of lead the charge. But you were like, I'm not getting access to all the students around here. I'm not getting access to all the athletes, because the sports that they play, you call it community sports, right? I think when I grew up, they called it like playing rec league, rec ball, whatever. But I think you articulated for me at one point that if you added up all the athletes you had access to through our school system, and then you compare that to the number of athletes that are playing not on school teams, it's about 10 times the opportunity. And so now, is this something that's normal in FCA Global, Steve, that they would go beyond the school systems?
Well, I think God put it on our heart to do this. So I think we're ahead of even the FCA curve on this one. So they are starting to do more of that. But again, we don't want buildings. We don't want to buy buildings and do things. We just want the spiritual side to actually talk about character training with the kids, either through the dads or the coaches or or a mom working with the team. So
See,
we just want the spiritual part.
For all the high-level FCA executives listening to this podcast, I want you guys to come and I want you to look at Steve and his team and their strategy and what y'all are doing, because y'all have done this so incredibly well.
Yeah.
Because you never know with government-run schools how long they're going to let a ministry come in through the coaches. I think it's pretty unique the way we have it. We're some of the only faith-based nonprofits left that have access to campuses, and the FCA is very respectful in how they manage that.
Yep. I would tell your listeners, if they want to see FCA at work, come to the East Cherokee Chick-fil-A about 8:15
on a Friday.
On Fridays, and you will see about 70 to 100 kids just there for Bible study.
It's crazy.
They're going through the second year of reading through their Bible in 1 year, and it's one of Kevin Williams, who's been real supportive from Chick-fil-A, the franchisee. He owns a franchisee. So go up there and just see what's going on, and you'll understand the strategy of community sports and going beyond just the high schools.
It's awesome. If you've heard the word revival before, it feels like that's what's happening with FCA and students, just like it's exploding. These small groups are exploding. The Bible studies that you guys are having,
Yes.
the number of athletes that want to come hear the character lesson and maybe even some of the gospel is just continuing to expand. So
we're basically saying this year about double or triple the number of people that have come to FCA meetings in the past.
It's crazy.
I mean, just like an example, King's Academy, they'll have their it's a private Christian school in our county, about 100 kids that come to every one. It's like, wow, there used to be maybe 30, 50.
Right. Yeah.
Now it's 100. Etowah High School, they're having over 100 people this year at theirs, where it'd be about 40 on a typical. But these guys, they want authentic relationships, and they want to plug into a community that's real, that can help them grow in their faith. And I hope they see FCA as a way to do that.
Well, I mentioned kind of in the bio that I read for you that our company, is an ongoing partnership with FCA. Yes. Our company sets aside 2% of our revenue to reinvest back into the community, both locally and globally. Globally, if you put them together. And, FCA is, one of the ones that we've been committed to under your leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. You're doing a great job there. And it's just exciting that even our clients that are listening, the fee you pay us for your services, part of that fee is 2% is getting reinvested back into the community. And a lot of that is going to you guys. And that's,
can I just say one thing? I just want to thank GIA and Tim Goodwin specifically, because you guys, because of your leadership, that you do invest in us and what FCA is doing, and also personally too, not just giving company funds and investing the 2%. You've always been extremely generous to me. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. You make it easy. You're a good leader to invest in, Steve. So when you think about, we're talking a lot about athletes, and we're talking about coaches and FCA. I say us because we're on the board. I mean, you, Steve, and your work, but you're really not just trying to, it's so critical that these athletes are learning about a God that made them, that loves them, that wants to be their best friend forever. But you guys don't stop there. You really develop them as leaders.
Oh yeah.
So talk some about that.
Well, one example of one of our leaders. There's a baseball player at Etowah, and he starts coming to our Thursday morning group at Etowah, and he's been coming now for 2 years. And then this year we're like, hey, we want you to lead. We poured in you. And he was nervous at first.
You got to get called up sometimes.
Then he started, now 2 or 3 times, he's so comfortable. And then on Sunday evening, there's about 20 guys that are freshmen that we host in a home. And he's been coming every week to help me and speak to them. Just can you imagine a senior in high school speaking to 20 freshmen saying, hey, here's what it's going to be like when you go to school. Mm-hmm. You got to plug into a Christian community, teaching them about taking a story about the prodigal son and talking to these guys about it. So we definitely, the goal is to invest in people, and then they invest in the next generation. So if we just teach people and we leave them there and don't teach them how to be leaders, then Christianity is not going to grow. We're one generation from extinction.
Right. Yeah.
But
Always.
we definitely want to do it.
You guys have you got camps too that you do in the summer. I think one's a leadership camp, and obviously some other athletic ones.
FCA is great at doing camps. So we actually at Lake Arrowhead in Waleska, we have 100 kids every year, and we invest in them. And it's basically a sports camp / Bible study, teaching, and we normally have about 20 to 30 kids accept Jesus. And our numbers of people are actually going down because the kids have grown so much. Now they've all accepted Jesus. So now they just, every year they're being discipled. So that's the exciting part. And then some of those people now are camp counselors.
Man, full
they're
circle.
high school, and they were little kids, and now they've grown up to be junior counselors. Now they're full counselors telling people about the other kids coming in. So
gosh, it's incredible.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So
I'm sure that's why you do training at GIA, Tim, to invest into leaders and help them grow.
They're going to take this over and run this one day. Yeah. Keep it full circle. Yeah. It's funny you say that because, it's like over half of our employees were clients before they were, be careful, Steve, might offer you a job. You've got enough of them. So we're talking about the athlete and the student. You don't necessarily have to be an athlete. I actually remember when I was in high school, there was like a Friday morning, what do you call it? A huddle club or something. And like anybody could come to that, whether you're an athlete or not. So I love that FCA's got, exposure and influence beyond the athlete. And speaking of that, talk a little bit about the other people that are involved with the FCA, which we mentioned before. The coaches invite you in.
Yes.
You've mentioned before volunteers. The more volunteers we get that are passionate, the more we can cover teams and community sports. So like how does this kind of expand beyond the students to the coaches, mentors, and volunteers?
Yes. I think coaches are one area to really grow. What's been interesting is that the longer we're getting into it, parents have come into play also. Before, they would seem like they're transparent. You didn't really see them.
Off. Yeah.
But the closer we get to the kids, the more we're starting to be involved in the parents too. So I think parents are a part. Also, I think a lot of people need to be plugged into an opportunity. They have time and they're willing to invest, but they really don't know how to do it. So if you can train them to get involved, I think they want to, but they just need to understand what the roles are and how that works. We also obviously have donors. We have a lot of people that you're about investment, and it's about investing. So they have to believe in what they're investing in. So donors, we have board of directors. So there's a lot of other opportunities and people to get involved. So we can, if you're interested, we can always use you and find a spot. And you might be the one out there praying like I did, and like, God, show me what to do. He puts you into a spot that not only you're helping other people, but you're growing yourself spiritually by being involved. How
are they? Since you're, and I wanted to make sure we brought that up. So now they are listening, and they're like, okay, Mr. Steve Hyland, maybe you're getting me thinking. Maybe God's pricking my heart, and I want to get involved. How do they get in touch with you? Do they pull up the website there?
Yes. Yeah. We're at CherokeeFCA.org. Okay. So that way you can communicate with me. You look under staff and you can leave a message. We'll put a link in
the show notes to this episode as well. So if you guys put on the show notes or the description, you'll be able to see Cherokee FCA. We'll make sure.
And they always say, well, how would you get involved? I would say the first thing is just pray about it and just see, God, what do you want me to do? It's everything we have. We're stewards of. So we're given our resources, the resources God gave you, whether it's financial or it's time or however you can be involved, bringing skills and abilities. We got room for you.
Yeah.
Because our goal is to reach every coach and athlete in Cherokee County. So there's still a lot of to be done to reach our goal.
Well, and I will say, everybody gets excited about growth. And it's just how God made the universe. He made it so the universe, everything in the universe is attracted to motion. You guys are growing leaps and bounds. It's a really exciting team to be a part of. I mean, we're talking about from April Fool's Day, 2020, and we're roughly 5.5 years later, and the growth has been tremendous. So I know it must be really fun for your team and your volunteers and your coaches to see that growth.
Yeah. And Mark Weems is my partner with FCA. We both worked at Coke for over 25 years. And what we feel like that God's put us here to create the foundation, the strategy, set everything up for the future. Because I tell people we're here. It's just like a mission organization that you're going somewhere internationally. We're a mission, we're 11 families, and we're working, and they're your kids. So
right.
we're setting this thing up for you and your grandkids, for your kids and your grandkids. And my hope is 10 years from now, they're not talking anything about us. It's just continuing to grow, and we're giving God the glory for what he's doing.
It's like you're reading ahead of my questions here, Steve, and I know you're not because they're in front of me. Oh, you can read backwards? Yeah, because I'm like, man. So you just touched this, but I want to ask the question just in case there's more that you want to say about it. So as you look ahead, what excites you the most about the future of FCA in Cherokee County? What's a story of hope or growth that inspires you right now? So
what I would say the most inspiring thing is see what God's doing in the high school students. There's revival going on. If you don't sense that,
you got to get out there and see it.
And it's not parent led. It's just God sparking these kids to want to have an authentic relationship with them. And they're looking for who to tie into, like whether it's their local church, another Christian. They're starting their own Bible groups. They're like, oh, did you hear this guy just started a Bible study with her? No, I didn't even hear about this. This is going on. Football teams where more than half the people are raising their hands saying, I accept Jesus. It's like, wow, what's going on? So the exciting thing is what God's doing, and then we're just kind of hanging on and for what, just like Henry Blackaby says, find out what God's doing and get involved in it. That's what we're doing. So my hope is that that these guys, in their relationship, they'll start walking authentically with God and be disciples, and it'll change our whole county. I mean, it's to know there's so many more believers and they're walking in God's ways, and then also the coaches, they just really see their mission field and really start investing in the kids, using their spiritual part along with being a coach. And it's amazing what God's going to do in Cherokee County.
So exciting. So exciting. So I want to flip the script a little bit and kind of zero in more on you and your wife, Karen, right?
Yes.
So I imagine Karen's like, Steve, you just retired. Like you're going to go back into some full-time work and ministry. And that sounds really hard, Like, what about Steve and Karen Hyland that says, we understand, generosity, like maybe just talk a little bit about why you guys as a couple would say, yes, we're going to go back and we're going to serve. And how has that impacted you? Like, why are you generous in that way, I guess, is a question I'm asking.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I understand, I'm a steward. I think a lot of people, they have that steward thing. They don't understand it all the way. Everything I have comes from God. So God's put it in my hands. So I'm just a steward. Like, God, where do you want me to put my resources? There's nothing about me accumulating anything. So it's a lot easier to give. And I found out God puts resources in your hand, if you keep the other hand to give, it's open for God to keep dropping resources in your hands to give.
Exactly.
So I know it's a spiritual thing. Before I was a Christian, I was so selfish. I was poor, but I was selfish.
You're poor and selfish, huh?
Poor and selfish. But now it's like, it's your money. So what do you want me to give? So if it's $10,000, $100,000, whatever it is, it's like, it's yours anyway. I'm just redirecting it.
Yeah.
So I think once we settled that up, it helped us to see, the money's not there to accumulate. It's to really help. It's Matthew 6:33. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all that other stuff will
comes
be
to
added.
pass. Yeah. So, I mean, what's cool is and actually Matthew 6:33 is my favorite Bible verse, but that's
why I probably said
it. Yeah, good timing there. Like, did you write that? You're seeing that upside down somewhere too. It's not even written, but you're saying stewardship and being accountable to God, and you're doing that and it's working. I'm also curious, how does it make you feel?
Our pastor, Johnny Hunt, told me one time, you never miss anything you give away.
Yeah.
And I thought about it. I'm like, okay, I'm 68 years old. Is there anything I've given that I wish I wouldn't have given away? And the answer is no. There's nothing. It's only you can change lives. You can, again, invest your resources in helping something you believe in. So I've never, but I mean, on a personal note, sometimes you get involved with people and you realize because of the situation, you got to cut off. You're not helping them by giving, but only, I think those cases it's a separate individual thing, but
right. Always
give. And just, then you have the joy of seeing that you're helping change lives with the resources you have. So, so
that's awesome.
What we do.
That's why you do it, and it works. Well, gosh, I really appreciate you coming and sharing all that stuff. We'll definitely put links in the show notes so people can follow you guys on socials or look on the website to see what y'all are doing. And if they're local and they want to volunteer, or if somebody feels compelled to give, but we are really big fans. I will actually say too, and this is kind of rare. I mean, I'm a preacher's kid, right? I've been in ministry since I was in the womb, so I've been around it, and which means that for most of my life in ministries typically are not financially sound.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I get a finance degree, and I know how to read all the financial statements, and I read the financial statements of nonprofits, and I know that's weird, but I do. And they're not usually strong. Yeah. And I think another thing that's impressed me so much about you, Steve, is how financially strong that you've made, FCA. And I think that's unusual, right? And not common. And then when you think about when you're bringing in new team members, right, that have to go raise their funds, you guys have already done something in advance for them, which don't we call it the development fund?
Yes.
You still call it that, the development fund. And so Steve raises money. He's got enough money for his own job there, but he's able to raise more money than that. So he puts it in this development fund. Go ahead.
I tell you? Quick story how it really works. That's what Tim's saying is great. So
let's set the record straight here.
2 weeks ago on Thursday, we were going to have a golf tournament on Monday. And again, we had about 80 players. It was like, oh man, we were expecting 100 players.
Oh yeah.
God, please help us. It's Thursday. Please help us. I'm leaving this tournament in your hands. Friday, we get a gold sponsor comes in. Saturday, we get 20 new players that came in. On Monday, one of our friends comes. He's like, FCA is doing this amazing work. I am going to offer a $50,000 matching fund.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, we raised $30,000 at the golf tournament. We had another $50,000, which is going to turn into $100,000. We had 20 extra golfers since Thursday, and all I can say is, God, you're so awesome. That's the way it really works, Tim, behind the scenes. So he gets all the glory. Like, Steve, what did you do to make it happen? I just said a prayer, and like God did the rest. So, I did my part. I had to organize the tournament.
You're a leader who's got strategy and thinks ahead. So, but this development fund helps your new team members come in, and so you kind of help speed them up because you're matching some of their initial efforts when it's tough till they get there. And I just think it's a really cool thing that the way that you've just structured the finances for it. So I was saying all that to say, maybe you don't live close by, but if you're looking for another great nonprofit to give to, FCA is a great one to invest in. So Steve, as we sign off, I like to have, share gratitude and have you share gratitude as well, something you're grateful for. And I'll share while you're thinking about one, but I am really grateful for you and for Karen. Karen is actually, your wife is a math teacher at a local private school. And my kids went to that school for a while, and your wife was their math school teacher a few times. So thanks for helping them understand math and making that a lesson.
She'll wake me and ask me a fifth grade math question, and I'm about 50-50 on being able to do fifth grade math. So,
oh man, it's been a little while, babe. I think you're going to have to ask ChatGPT or something. I don't know. So grateful for, not just our relationship and what you're doing for our community, but also, your wife's influence on my kids.
Yeah. I just want to say I'm grateful to GIA for their super generous investment in FCA and more important, just the friendship of Tim Goodwin and your guys' family. And thankful anybody that's given, that's a donor or want to give time, come and join us. There's a movement of God going on in Cherokee County, and I'm just glad to be a part of it. So.
Well, we're grateful for you, Steve. Thank you for coming today. Thanks all the listeners for getting through it, and have a wonderful day.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Money Pig Podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. To stay updated on new episodes, be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. If you found value in today's discussion, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave a rating and review. If you have any questions about the topics we covered, feel free to visit us at goodwininvestment.com and reach out. This episode is produced by evance.net. This podcast is provided for informational purposes only and should not be considered as investment advice, a solicitation to buy or sell any financial products, securities, digital assets, or other investment vehicles, nor as a basis for making any financial decisions. Goodwin Investment Advisory is a registered investment advisor with the SEC, CRD number 131193. Please note that the host and or guests may personally own securities, digital assets, or other investments mentioned in this podcast. Investments carry risk and are not guaranteed unless stated otherwise. We strongly recommend consulting with a qualified financial advisor, tax professional, insurance professional, and/or legal professional before implementing any strategies discussed in this episode. Lastly, past performance is not indicative of future results.